Joining me now is Gareth Dennis, rail engineer and writer. Thanks very much for coming on the programme.
Hello.
So let's look at this. We've heard there that the line at the moment is that it will go all the way into central London, into Euston. But if, hypothetically, it didn't and it stopped in this hub in West London, could it be done? What difference would it make?
Well, I suppose it depends on what your definition of feasible is. I mean, it could be done, but it would be a horrible, messy compromise, resulting in, even worse overcrowding on Crossrail, resulting in billions of extra pounds being spent on expanding the station at Old Oak Common. It would certainly not be of any benefit in terms of costs, because the costs that you potentially could save in not doing anything in Euston and leaving that gaping hole there would be spent again in redesigning, delaying and expanding the station at Old Oak Common. So it's not a very sensible idea. And ultimately, of course, the whole point of this story is that it's a bit of a dead cat to distract from a series of increasingly baroque scandals within Cabinet. So it's important to have that context within this story, of course. That
context being your context and your opinion. Gareth, let's focus on the idea then. If it does go all the way into Euston and it's successful in that sense, is overall this project worth the money?
Absolutely, yeah. There is no more cost-effective way to deliver the desperately needed expansion in public transport capacity on railway systems across the country. As your correspondent was describing there, the argument for the line, the actual railway argument for building this line is the main benefit is to release capacity in the existing railway network for more local services, for more commuter services, more suburban capacity, the sorts of capacity we desperately need at the moment. Outside of the M25, commuter numbers are above where they were pre-COVID. So we need not only more leisure travel, but more commuter capacity for people to get in and out of cities.
How much of a blow was it, the connection to Leeds not going ahead?
Substantial. So I argue that it is the most important part of HS2 was in fact its connection from Birmingham up to Leeds in the northeast. That section of the route was what really enabled the capacity release, not just on the West Coast Main Line, but also on the Midland Main Line and the East Coast Main Line. So, places like Nottingham, Peterborough and all sorts of other cities and towns along those kind of those routes, those corridors would have that release capacity, that enormous release of capacity. But of course, Leeds especially losing out massively from the loss of HS2 and the impact that has on services across the Pennines towards Manchester as well.
You're clearly a fan of the project. Is there any amount of money that it could go over budget or any amount of damage to the line where it's being built up and down the country that would change your mind?
Well, when you build a bridge over a river, you don't say, well, how much money do we have and how far across the river do we want to go? You go, right, well, we need a bridge across the river. How much money does it cost for us to get across that river? And you don't change your mind about what type of bridge you're going to have when you've half built the bridge. So the reality is that this project is going to continue to cost more if government continues to shilly-shally on delivering it and on deciding what shape it should take. There was cross-party consensus on how HS2 should look. Almost a decade ago, agreed through Parliament, through our democratic processes to progress with this line. It's undemocratic that Treasury have continued to decide to change it, shape it, alter it, when the reality is the need for the line has only grown more acute since it was first received royal assent back in 2013.
Gareth Dennis, great to have your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you.